Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria Q. Kane.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about a baseball fan who fell from the stands 21 feet during an active MLB game, blunt trauma involving a porta potty, an unusual reason for a tongue tattoo, and catching diseases from the thrift store. All that and more on today's episode. So let's get started with this Pittsburgh Pirates fan.
Yeah, so last night the Cubs were playing in Pittsburgh against the Pirates, and during the bottom of the seventh inning, suddenly this fan fell over from the crowd onto the field during an active play.
It's such a nuts video to watch because we watch so many baseball games just to think about a person falling over like that. Didn't someone fall when we were at a Phillies game a couple years ago?
Yeah, so I actually, this prompted me to write this whole article about things that happen like this at games because we were at the Phillies game, I believe it was last season, and it seems like above, what's it called where the pitchers are?
The bullpen?
I'm blanking out. All right, so above the bullpen, I think the opposing team, I don't remember who they were playing that day, threw a ball up towards a fan, and it landed in this like flower box they had hanging above the bullpen. And when the fan went to reach down and get the ball, he ended up flipping over the edge and falling and getting hurt. But I think that guy ended up being okay. So this prompted me to write an article for the grocery room called Take Me Out to the ER, where I was writing about people that get like hit by foul balls or fall over the edge. So one of the cases was in 2011 at a Texas Rangers game. Similar situation, a player had tossed a fan a ball in the stands, and he ended up falling 20 feet head first, and he died in an ambulance later. And then later in 2015 at an Atlanta Braves game, this guy was heckling A-Rod so much and he was getting so animated, and he ended up falling off of the upper deck onto the lower deck about 50 feet head first and ended up dying.
Oh my God, that's nuts.
Yeah, it's really horrible. I'm actually surprised it doesn't happen more often because do you ever notice when foul balls, the really high-pitched ones, which they call piss missiles, are like coming down and it seems like it's coming in our section in the upper deck, but it really is going below and people lean over so far.
Yeah, I guess they're not paying attention and so many people are drunk. We know that. So, I mean, that always adds a little something to it. This particular case is a little weird, though, because when I saw the video, obviously the first thing I do is put it in slow motion to see what exactly is happening. And I don't even know. I mean, the guy, I guess the guy fell, but the whole thing is weird because it looks like he's sitting in his seat and it almost looks like the same thing at the Phillies stadium, that there's these clear barriers in the front so people don't fall over the edge, but they're basically just like a piece of plexiglass, right? And it looks like he got up out of his seat and then stood up and almost maybe stood up on his actual seat or got up on the edge of the barrier there and then fell over the edge. But then it did look like he reached his arm up. So I wouldn't say, it almost had the appearance that he was intentionally trying to go over the edge, but then it looked like he was trying to grab, that he fell by accident or something. But he ended up falling 21 feet, which is significant. I mean, if you fall anywhere over 70 feet, usually even a little bit lower than that, you're going to die. There's like a high chance that you're not surviving anything over. I mean, 20 feet is a lot. And this guy got a skull fracture. So they were saying that he's in critical condition, and that could be a variety of things. That could be like, okay, this guy's definitely not surviving, or we're just not sure exactly how the extent of his injuries yet.
I mean, to me, I agree with you. It looked like he launched himself out of
exactly,
the seat.
right?
It's very weird because also it also looked like from the video, and I found videos from multiple different angles of this, but of course they're like pretty far away. But it appeared that he's not wearing a shirt and shoes. And in the close-up photographs they took of the emergency responders working on him, he's not wearing a shirt and shoes. But I don't know if he like fell on the field that way or if they ended up coming off at some point during the ordeal. But
I have no idea. I think that's bizarre too.
Yeah. I like even when you look at the video slowed down, clearly this big play is happening and a lot of people are rising at the same time, but he has at least a full second where he lifts up before everybody else and he just seemingly lifts up from his seat and immediately launches over the edge. It was just so bizarre, like he jumped or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird, but so when you're in critical condition, it's when they determine that there's major functions of your body that are not working correctly that you need medical assistance. So maybe you're not breathing on your own and you need a ventilator or something like that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that a person's going to die because you can totally survive that, but it just means that they're really unsure because of how unstable their normal function is at that point. So when you get a skull fracture, it's not the same as if you break your leg, and really you could break your leg very seriously too, but you're not just concerned about the broken bone of the skull, but what's inside the skull, which is the brain, which is your most important or one of your most important organs, right? If it doesn't function correctly, you can't live. And so when you get a skull fracture like that, not only can you get a traumatic brain injury like a concussion or a contusion, but you also can get a brain bleed, which could also cause a huge problem for someone, and they might have to get additional surgeries when they get to the hospital. So he could have lasting brain damage from this, permanent brain damage from this. It's serious. And again, I'm pretty certain that when you hear the investigation, that there's going to be alcohol involved somehow. I'm just guarantee that. Wait, so when you wrote that article, wasn't there one about someone getting injured by the hot dog gun?
Yeah, I think it was at the Phillies game. The Philly fanatic was like driving around shooting the hot dogs off and it hit this like poor old lady in the face.
And she had like a black eye, right?
Yeah, so she was on the
And
news.
she might have had a skull fracture or something too, right? Like it was.
No, I think she just got like a black eye from it, but there was another guy at the Phillies before they had the nets on the bottom level who got hit by a foul ball, and like literally the scan of his head, he had this like giant round fracture in the front of his face.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And about a week after we published this article, we were sitting in our old section. This had to be all right. So this was 2 years ago because it was when we were on the other side in 316. So when we were sitting there, you guys had just got up to leave, and Sosa hit a foul ball, and it was like coming up, and I was like, "It's not coming up this far," and then it just kept getting closer, and I was like, well, it's coming up this far, but it's not going to hit me. And then it just kept getting closer to my face. And literally, if Ricky did not stick his hand out at that exact moment, it would have hit me straight in the head. But I was like,
It would have been ironic.
There's no way out of 48,000 seats that I'm going to get hit in the face with this ball. And a week after, I just wrote an article about this happening to other people.
Yeah, I could see that being on the news. Like that's definitely like a New York Post worthy story.
Yeah. Woman rights article about baseball accidents gets hit by baseball 1 week later.
Does every baseball team have the hot dog gun, or is that a specific Philly thing?
I would say most of them probably do, because like a lot of games have like t-shirt guns and stuff.
I don't know. It's just Phillies just has like a very interesting, unique things. All right, let's get into this headline that's been going around that a teenager was struck and killed by a fire truck, because there's a little bit more to the story than just that headline.
Yeah, so this girl was coming home from her friend's prom send-off party. I don't know what that is, but she was dancing on top of this SUV as it was driving, and then it suddenly made a turn and she slid off of the roof. Seconds later, this fire truck that was responding to an emergency ended up hitting her.
Yeah, like so really, like the fire truck doesn't have anything to do with it. That's
no,
why
I mean, but it's a juicier headline to be like a fire truck struck a woman.
I know, and it's terrible for whoever was driving the fire truck, because when you're responding to an emergency, you sure don't expect to see a woman laying on the ground in the middle of the road. I mean,
No.
and like, listen, this is not like, oh, this teenager did a stupid thing. That like lots of people do this. I don't understand it at all. You would think like, oh, remember in the movie Big when they opened the moonroof and they were out and like driving through the city out.
Yeah, but most of your body is in the car.
Yeah, this is like like, it just doesn't even make any sense. This is the car driving, sitting on top of the car and standing on top of a car driving. Like, how do you think that that's ever going to work out right? I mean, and the parents had said that she was in the car with a bunch of her teenage friends. I swear, this is why teenagers need to have like way more restrictions, because the minds of all of them, like not one person in the car thinking that that was a bad idea,
Yeah, but
is
they
why this
were.
girl's dead.
I don't think most of them were teenagers, like 15, 16. I think she was 19 years old. Like, that's an adult.
So, yeah, but they're still underdeveloped brain, and I think she was 18. This is like a bunch of kids not thinking. Their brains are definitely not all the way developed. It's like you look at them and their bodies are developed, but their brains are definitely not developed as an adult. It's
Yeah.
just they're not. And that's what I think that's why. I mean, even since I started driving, they've put a ton of restrictions on younger people driving. I think there's a rule that you're only allowed to have X amount of people in the car and all this stuff, because they're like, and then add on top of it the texting situation. It's just I just don't know why anybody thought that this was going to be a good idea. So this truck it's an Escalade. They're turning left. The girl falls off. So right there, she could have got killed just from falling off of a moving vehicle onto the street. Got horrible abrasions on her skin, skull fracture, all that business. But so I don't even know. So they'll do the autopsy and try to determine what happened. I don't know if that's even going to be possible, because a fire truck weighs so much, hitting a person going fast. I mean, God knows how fast they were driving, right? She got creamed. So I don't know if they're going to be able to say, like, okay, she was already had an injury that was inconsistent with life before she even got hit by the fire truck. I don't even know how they would be able to determine that, but
Well, they might not be able to.
yeah.
I mean, it seemed like it happened within like seconds of her falling off of the roof of the car. So.
It's just like, it's just completely nuts. And like, think about that. Some firefighter has to now live with that for, it's going to be years of court and this and that and going through everything. And it's just messed up, man.
Yeah. All right, so this video has been circulating online this week of a person running through a pretty bad windstorm, it looks like, and then suddenly in the video you see this porta potty like flying along the soccer field, and it struck the referee.
I mean, it's kind of like, I hate to say this, but the video is kind of funny looking, but
it's funny because the person was okay, but
yeah, that's yeah. I mean, just like when you watch it, it's just funny because of porta potty, and then think about this thing flying through the air and how gross that is. Just thinking about porta potties are seriously they just have the worst smell ever. And think about one flying through the air with all that rain and wind and hitting your body. But they were saying that they weigh 230 to 250 pounds. So that's some serious blunt trauma right there. The guy was okay. Luckily, you know what I mean? It's kind of a crazy story, but the video's just, how it's just one of those videos that it reminds me, if you're walking down the street and you see someone fall and your instant reaction is to laugh.
Yeah.
Like, for me anyway. I remember one time when I was working at the hospital and I was with one of my friends who's also just got kind of like a sick sense of humor and like one of, when you have a friend that you just like laugh with and stuff all the time. And we saw this lady like fall on the ice in front of us, and like we're both in our uniforms, and I just like, I was trying not to laugh, but I was crying, like holding in my tears. It like, she wasn't hurt. It just like looks so funny. That's your instant reaction,
People are gonna think
happened-
you're a terrible person.
No, people do. I saw someone get hit by a car once on a bike, and I just thought, I don't know, like
God.
No, it was funny.
Do you
like
think it's just a nervous response you have?
No, it's not a nervous response. Sometimes shit's just funny. Like this did you ever see like Wayne's World and the girl's like riding a bike and she's like, "Hi, Wayne," the girl that was obsessed with Wayne, and she like drove right into the bike or into a car riding her bike. It was like, it just looked like that.
Yeah,
And it
but
just
that
like
was
made
a
me laugh.
movie, not real
I don't know.
life.
It just was like funny. But Lillian fell down the steps at school a few weeks ago, like pretty bad, because she's wearing those stupid fucking Uggs all the time that like twist kids' ankles, and they think they look so cool, but they always are like falling and stuff in them. And she fell down the steps, and her best friend like busted out laughing at her, like, and I was just like, I love you, like this is hilarious. Cause it's funny, like okay, she got hurt, whatever, but like I don't know.
Well, I hope if you ever fall or
Listen, this is why I'm not a nurse and I don't take care of live people, because maybe I don't have compassion like that. Sorry.
I mean, I'm thinking of a situation you were in, which is the best one ever, where you got in the wrong car, and I'm thinking if the person that owned the wrong car ended up coming out and freaking out and calling the cops or something because you were sitting in their car, I might have peed my pants laughing, because that would have been the funniest thing ever. So maybe I have a little bit of your trait, but this person did end up being fine. At least it wasn't the end with the door open, so they didn't get like all like the poop and stuff all over them. That would have been
But the
horrible.
wind was so crazy, and when it rains sideways and stuff, it was like one of those looking events. I just imagine the whole entire shit and everything like mixing with the rain and just like spraying everyone around. It's nothing you ever think about when you're at a field, that these things can become projectiles.
This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
Guys, the grocery room sale is over, but you could still get in and try it out for only $5.99 a month. So you really should get in. We've done a couple. So every week we do a high profile or celebrity death dissection. A few weeks ago, we did necrophilia, which was, if you read it, you might not ever get that part of your life back. But we also did one recently on Virginia Giuffre, because whenever there's anything that's breaking news on a celebrity or high profile person, we're always covering those every week in the gross room. We also are going to be doing, coming up shortly, physician assistant suicide, and getting into all the details of that, because that's pretty interesting, how that the laws and everything that go with it, and just some of the things you wouldn't think of with that. We have a bunch of new crazy videos and more, so give it a check out. Check it out.
Yeah, head over to thegrossroom.com now.
All right, so let's get into this next case that's kind of crazy, of a man predicting his own murder.
Yeah, so police got a call about 2 murdered men located in a pickup truck in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and it turns out that one of the victims had predicted this entire situation the day before on his Facebook.
So he wrote a post on his Facebook that said, tell me, I don't think that this makes sense, but
this is what, I'm not reading it verbatim because it's not
no,
grammatically
I want to
correct,
read it. It says, if today isn't work out, know that it was James Collier, the piece of crap that I invited to this mountain that still hasn't left it and is working the fuck out of my fucking cousin. I'm rolling down there right now, Jimmy. I hope you shoot me.
Okay,
So I guess he did. I guess he got his wish come true.
well, yeah, so I guess he invited this guy to confront him about this problem he was having. They're thinking the issue that was going on between them was that the guy James Collier wasn't moving out of this property that the victim was planning on listing for sale, and he was basically letting his Facebook know, I'm inviting this guy to confront him, so if it doesn't work out, it was him that killed me. And that's exactly what happened.
He was smart, right?
There's
lots of cases like this where people, I mean, we were just talking about it on last episode or 2 episodes ago about Virginia Giuffre, and like how she had put a letter on her Facebook that said, I'm not suicidal, just letting you know. Like, people do that sometimes. Not that, I mean, I guess they could be brought up in court for sure.
All right, wait though. I want to have conspiracy brain for a second, because something similar happened in the Kings of Tupelo documentary that you still need to watch. So, what if another person had murdered this victim, and then his enemy was James Collier, so he already was planning on murdering the victim, or he was planning on it, or he had already murdered the victim, and then went onto that guy's Facebook and said it was going to be James Collier that did it.
That's, how would anybody get on someone's Facebook like that?
Because if you killed them and you have their phone, all you have to do is go into it with their face recognition. The face doesn't know they're dead.
I don't think so.
Yes.
My face recognition doesn't even work when I'm laying in bed in a certain angle. I don't think if you're dead that it's working when your eyes are like, I don't know about that.
So
that's kind of a stretch to get into somebody's phone. This happened in
the Kings of Tupelo, where the president and all these other politicians got anthrax, or not anthrax. They got some powder sent to them. Maybe it was anthrax. Anyway, they or rice. It was ricin. So they got all this ricin sent to them, and they thought it was this guy that was an Elvis impersonator. When they were investigating it, they realized he was basically like too stupid to have made the ricin, and they were like, it clearly couldn't have been him. And it turns out it was his enemy that set him up.
Oh, well, I mean
So I'm saying
that
it's
could totally
possible.
happen. Yeah, I mean it totally could happen, but
They did
like
arrest
obviously
James
they're going to
Collier,
do
but
more of an investigation. This isn't just like a clear cut like this guy did it, you know what I mean? But it's
no.
definitely leading them to the person that probably did it.
Yeah, but they had arrested that guy, and it took them a while to figure out it was his like enemy that set him up, who was a Wayne Newton impersonator. You have to watch this show. It's so crazy.
It's a real story?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, cuz like if it was fake, I'm like I'm not interested, but
It
if it's a
involves
true
like
story.
body part trafficking too. You
Oh,
have to watch it. It's
okay.
really
What is it called?
Kings of Tupelo.
Okay. It sounds outrageous. I'll watch it.
I don't know. I think it's like the section worthy, honestly, or like covering it in some capacity. It's so ridiculous. But all right, let's move on to the next story. So last year, a 23-year-old noticed this lesion under her tongue. She initially blew it off as an ulcer. Over time, it kept getting worse, but she still wasn't worried about it. So she went to the doctor, hoping to just get some medication for it, and it ended up being something so much worse.
Yeah, so the doctor looked at it and said like, "All right, this is weird that you've had this for a while and I don't like the way it looks." So they did a biopsy and they diagnosed it as squamous cell carcinoma, which is cancer of the tongue. Now, this is very unusual for a 23-year-old to get tongue cancer. It most commonly happens in people who, well, really, if we could learn anything from Val Kilmer, because he had base of tongue cancer, which is an oropharynx cancer, cancer of the mouth. And it most commonly occurs in people that have the HPV virus. So about 70 to 80% of these cancers are caused by HPV virus. So her doctor made a comment that was just like, even if you drank and smoked every day, there's no way that the cancer could have formed this fast. So we don't know what caused it. But I'm thinking like that's actually not the most common reason that people get oral cancer anymore. It's because of the HPV virus. And certainly if you get HPV in your cervix, especially if you're sexually active at a young age, there are women that can develop full-blown cancer at 23 years old. It's not common, but it's definitely happened. So I'm thinking it's more likely that that's her risk factor. But also if you drink alcohol and you smoke, then that increases your risk. And if you drink alcohol and smoke together, you're at like a 30% increased risk of getting oral cancer. So it's just really the worst thing to do. But anyway, so she gets diagnosed with this cancer and they say, okay, well, we have to cut like half of your tongue off, which is called a hemiglossectomy. They're very interesting specimens to get in surgical pathology lab. It's kind of crazy when you get someone's tongue as a specimen, because you could imagine how difficult their life is going to be after that. So they decided to give her a graft to replace the part of the tongue that they took off, and they took a chunk of her forearm off to graft it onto her tongue. So the muscle and the skin that they took off of her forearm so happened to have a tattoo on it that says BOA, which stands for Bloodstock Open Air, which is a heavy metal fest in UK. I don't know, I've never heard of it, but which is like kind of a crazy advertisement for their little music fest there. Because now when she opens her mouth, you could see these initials basically tattooed on her tongue.
I'm like, you're saying Little Music Fest, it probably is like 100,000 people.
No, I know.
Like something crazy.
Well, I know, but it's just kind of like, it's kind of metal to have like this happen to you and then have like, you know what I'm saying? So they could use this as like an ad or something if she opens her mouth and you could see it. But just think about, she was talking about all the crazy stuff that she had to go through to relearn how to talk and to eat. And because really, I'm thinking like when I was 16 and got my tongue pierced, which was like the dumbest shit ever, but whatever.
Yeah, disgusting.
It was, yeah, but like that was the thing back then. And I remember like my tongue being difficult to like learn how to use again for a week afterwards. Just like, I remember like a day after I got it done, I was trying to eat pasta and like I couldn't like use my tongue. It was so weird. And I can't even imagine getting it cut off and then getting it grafted and have to relearn how to use it. And also obviously with all those surgeries, you're not going to feel a part of it. And it's just crazy. And she's so young, but I mean, it's either that or you lose your life. So that's your choice.
No, totally. I mean, this is obviously a shitty situation to happen, but at least she has like some little cool story to come out of it and something unique from it, you know?
Yeah, it's so metal.
All right, so let's close out with this TikToker who's claiming he got a rare skin condition from thrifted clothes. What do you think about
Yeah,
this?
I 100% think it's true. This is why, listen, you can get, so he got a condition called molluscum contagiosum, which is a viral infection, and it's most commonly seen in kids because kids are always touching each other. So you could get it from skin to skin contact, just borrowing each other's clothes, like weird, just very close contact with other people. Obviously, you could get it sexually transmitted as well, but it's most common to occur in kids, and it starts off as like these little pink bumps that are very itchy, and they have a very specific appearance. They're called umbilicated lesions because they kind of look like like an umbilicus or a belly button. They have this little dip in it. um and he's saying that he got it from there. You could also get ringworm from clothes like that. They say that you're supposed to wash all your clothes before you wear them. Do you do that?
Like not with everything because sometimes I buy like I'm just thinking of a recent thing I bought. Recently, I had bought a silk dress, so like I'm not gonna wash that. But the place I bought it from, I know it's like a family. It's my aunt's sister's store, so I know she gets everything dry cleaned before she puts it in there. But typically, I would not wash something like that. But if I just bought like a T-shirt, then yeah, I would wash that. But if I got like a similar silk dress from like Goodwill or something, I probably wouldn't wash it because I wouldn't want to damage it. But some, I guess, of these more curated stores, like antique stores or specifically consignment shops, are pre-treating them before they're even putting them out.
Like if I got clothes, whenever I get clothes from the thrift store, I've always washed them, always, just because they smell and they're just, I don't know, it just like will make me feel better. But you're supposed to wash your clothes that you buy from everywhere,
No,
which I don't do, and I know that people say you're supposed to because they have all. You really probably should, because especially in where a lot of clothes and stuff are coming from, like China, they don't have the same regulations that we have here, and there's like weird fabric softeners and
yeah, but aren't they
it,
still ultimately in the garment even if you wash them or not?
they I don't really know exactly, but like getting that coating of it off would definitely be better for sure. I mean, the fabric itself could be made of different chemicals, the plastics and stuff like that, but sometimes they put certain chemicals coating on the outside that people could have skin reactions to. I'm really bad with that. Like I know that you should do that, but
I've
I don't.
never once washed something I bought brand
I
new.
like new clothes. Like I don't want them to be washed, and you know, I don't know. I just like the way that they are when they're new. They always look best, I think. But yeah, you're supposed to. And but definitely with the thrift store, I think that this is, I always wonder about that because when you get lice or there's fleas in your house or something, and you're supposed to get rid of your carpets and you're supposed to get rid of your stuffed animals and all that stuff. Well, you always see like carpets and stuffed animals and stuff in thrift stores, and you're just like, dude, if that person had fleas or that person had lice, bringing that into your house would be such a bitch. Like,
But how
I,
long did these things like
oh,
not
they're
all of them can
virulent. They will
last?
no, yes, they can. They can. Like, if they're there for not like, I mean, it's not like if they're there for years, it's going to be like that. But like, if you have a rug that has flea eggs all over it, and then you bring it to the thrift store and it's there, because there's the life cycle of them too. Like, some of them hatch, and then when they hatch, they have more eggs. So like, if you just don't catch it, it could go on for a long time. That's why it's hard to get rid of lice and it's hard to get rid of fleas. Like, but that could be on these objects. Like, it doesn't have to be on a person. It could be on these objects, and then you go and buy the rug at the thrift store, and then all of a sudden it's like you're bringing that into your house now.
All right, well, let's say you buy something from Target and somebody tries it on before you and they have ringworm,
Yes.
and then you just touch it at the store and you don't end up like, can't you just get it from touching things while you're shopping, not even like buying them and not washing them at your house?
It depends like how you're rubbing it on yourself and where you're touching. I mean, you in theory you could. I mean, it's the same shit with like people trying on bathing suits and all that stuff. It's just, it's like kind of gross.
Well, you're supposed to leave your underwear on when you try on bathing suits, but people are not doing
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Because, like, then you can't tell what it really looks like. And then they put that nasty ass, like, patch thing on the crotch. And then,
Like
like,
that plastic sticker pad, you're like, ew.
yeah, exactly. And God knows what's on that. So,
I don't know. Like, I'm not washing my brand new clothes. I probably should, but I want them to be crisp and brand new. I don't want them to be washed. So, like, I just can't see myself getting in that habit. But I guess with thrifted clothes, it's important. It's not even thrifted clothes. It could happen to anything. 'Cause
yeah,
you
but
don't know who's touching stuff at the store before you touch
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's true.
So I guess just be mindful of your clothing practice.
Make all your own clothes. That's the moral of the story.
But then the fabric you buy to make your own clothes could be contaminated from somebody that touched it at the store. I mean, this
it's not touching it though. Like when you have molluscum contagiosum, you have like itchy lesions all over your body, and then you put on a shirt and you're scratching them, and the virus is like oozing out onto the inside of the shirt. It's not
But
like they just touched it with their hand
people
to see
have
what
been
size it
wearing
was.
clothes for thousands of years. Like, how often does this really happen?
Have you ever heard of the freaking smallpox, dude? That's
Well-
how they gave it to people on blankets and shit.
Yeah, I know historically
So it's been happening for a long time. It's the same way.
I know, but it's not like it's not like when you get a cold. Like, every 6 months I got this weird rare skin condition from clothes. I don't know. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and then I'll go from there. All right. Thank you guys so much. Please leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have a story for us, please submit it to stories@motherknowsdeath.com.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend. Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor, and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.